This is the first sermon that I wrote. I gave it in front of a congregation a few weeks ago, and so now I'm re-recording it to put on my blog. So here we go. Doubt is a powerful thing. It makes us believe that we're not good enough. It makes us skeptical of even the greatest of opportunities. It makes us question everything. Doubt creates imaginary barriers that we need to push through. Doubt creates the mountains in our lives. Everyone has doubts, including me. One of many doubts for me was if I was fulfilling what I was meant to do with my life. I know it sounds funny, but even as I move closer to my 40s, I'm still working on what I want to be when I grow up. Now, I once had a picture of my life, as many high schoolers do, because when we're children, we're often asked what we want to be when we get older. And I had it down to a science, literally. I was going to school to be a veterinarian. I would finish my schooling, start a practice, then, and only then, would I worry about getting married and having kids. Clearly, God had other plans for me. Over the years, I have considered going back to school, finishing what I started, doing something with my life. But that something has changed based on the path I wanted to walk or that I thought was the way I should be going. Only when I stopped and truly listened to what God was telling me did I see the way I was supposed to travel. I was seeking a greater meaning for my life and kept building that mountain of doubt because I didn't have faith that I would be led over that mountain if I simply let God lead me. Now, the disciple Thomas is often referred to as Doubting Thomas, not because he didn't have faith, but because his faith was tested in the most brutal way, and he needed to renew that faith. I think we need to rethink how we see him. Instead of a doubter, perhaps we should be calling him a seeker. Let's keep in mind that all of the other disciples also doubted the resurrection of Jesus until they saw him. Thomas was seeking the same verification. He said, "Unless I see the nail marks in his hands and put my finger where the nails were and put my hand into his side, I will not believe." Now, let's put ourselves in Thomas's shoes for a minute. Life is pretty solid. You're following Jesus faithfully through everything, and then your world is turned on its head. In a matter of just 1 week, Jesus is arrested, crucified, the world plunges into darkness, there's an earthquake, you're hiding in fear that you're going to be arrested. I mean, I've had some crazy weeks, but that goes beyond crazy. Then you get news that the stone is rolled away. Others are being told, and they're spreading the news that Jesus has risen and is appearing to the other disciples. I can't blame Thomas for seeking verification, understanding, and meaning. It would be impossible to wrap my brain around all of that in 1 short week. So what did Thomas do? He sought an answer. Now, we don't know what Thomas was doing or where he was at when the other disciples saw Jesus. Maybe he was meditating. Maybe he was helping a family member. Maybe he was just sitting alone and trying to make sense of everything that had just happened. But by the end of the week, he joined the other disciples because even though he was skeptical of what he had been told, he was going to rely on his faith to provide an answer. Then Jesus appeared to the other disciples again, and this time Thomas was with them, and he saw Jesus. Jesus told him to see the wounds and to have Thomas put his hand into his side. Thomas was seeking the truth, and he was not disappointed when Jesus gave it to him. He fell to his knees and said, "My Lord and my God." Can you imagine if this was the way you were able to remove your doubt? It would be amazing and a powerful way to extinguish all that doubt you had. As seekers, we want to travel the path with others like us. much like Thomas found himself sitting with his fellow disciples. One way we do this is by saying, "Peace be with you," just as Jesus said when he appeared to Thomas and the disciples. And of course, when we hear that, we respond, "And also with you." The peace of Christ is something we share with all our fellow faith seekers because we are all Thomas. We all have doubts. And we are glad to share this walk with those who are following the path we are. It also creates security, which is something we all seek when doubt overwhelms us. It is a great way to reconfirm our faith to know we are not traveling alone. Now, I want you to think back to when you had a doubt about something, someone, or even yourself. It can be something major, or that scam email you had in your inbox this morning. You know, the one that asks you to send money to that distant relative you didn't know you had. It could have been a doubt that crossed your mind for a few fleeting minutes this morning, like, should you have eaten that donut? Or something that has been an ongoing doubt for years. It could be a doubt that you keep secret because you don't think it's valid. Or, more likely, because you even may be ridiculed or shamed for it, such as a lapse in faith. I want you to think about how you, as a seeker, are working on turning that doubt into faith. But remember, doubt is not an enemy of faith. It makes us search further and deeper, creating a greater understanding. We rely on faith every day. Jesus is not literally sitting in the pew next to you saying, "Put your hand into my side." So we must seek a greater understanding and strengthen our faith in him. One last thought. Remember when I said doubt creates mountains? When you are faced with doubt, remember, faith moves mountains.